welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting straight into the sources on holiday branding. We're going to be looking at why some campaigns, they just stick and become truly memorable.
While others just seem to vanish faster than melted snow, really.
Exactly. We're trying to get beneath the surface of all these annual ads to figure out what actually makes a campaign, well, resilient.
And it really is the ultimate quest for any brand, isn't it? Especially in the most crucial quarter of the year. How do you achieve that kind of longevity in what is basically a 3-week window?
Well, the sources you shared with us, they propose an answer that it's startling in its scope, I have to say.
It is. The idea is that the ultimate, most enduring model for a sticky story is one that lasted for thousands of years, one passed down through oral and then written tradition.
They're talking about the Christmas story itself.
That's the one, as the ultimate model.
Right. It's the benchmark for narrative resilience.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about a story that has been consistently shared, translated, adapted across cultures for millennia. If modern brands can capture even a tiny fraction of that, they've won. So the mission for this deep dive, and for you listening right now, is pretty simple. We are going to distill the 3 main tactics that successful brands use during the holidays, and we'll compare them against the staying power of that foundational narrative. Okay, let's unpack this.
I think what's truly foundational here, and the source materials really point this out, is the longevity itself. The fact that this ancient narrative endures, it just proves that certain story structures, they resonate on a really deep human level.
They just stick.
They stick. They have this inherent staying power, and that's still absolutely true today, even in our, modern era of just rampant consumerism. If the story is good, it cuts through the noise.
But the flip side is also true. If the story is flawed, or if the brand missteps, the consequences can be immediate and severe.
Exactly. And the source material presents this as a necessary cautionary tale for marketers. Not all attention is good attention. A negative story or a campaign that just rings false can hurt a brand just as much as a positive one can help it.
Which defines the incredibly high stakes of holiday story selling.
Right. When brands invest so heavily in these annual campaigns, they are not aiming for just a quick purchase. They're aiming for something that resonates deeply enough to withstand, say, 30 years of cultural shifts.
Okay, let's nail down that term you just used,
Right.
Story selling. When the sources use that phrase, are they trying to differentiate it from traditional product-focused ads?
Oh, absolutely. It's a crucial distinction. Traditional advertising pushes a product. Buy this is 20% off.
Right.
Story selling, on the other hand, it prioritizes the narrative. It's hoping to sell you on a feeling, a value, a shared experience first. Brands don't just want you to buy a thing. They want their message to evoke an emotion and become, as the sources put it, woven into the fabric of the human experience.
That's a great way to put it. You want to become part of the annual ritual.
Yeah.
Just like the ancient story itself is a ritual.
Precisely. And that explains why, when you watch holiday ads, you see this overwhelming emphasis on narrative over product. It's so specific to this season.
If you can achieve that emotional weaving, you're not just a commercial anymore. You're a memory.
And that's enduring success. That's what transcends quarterly sales goals.
So that brings us back to the blueprint. How do you actually master this? How do you create an ad that becomes an annual event instead of just another commercial you skip?
Well, the sources outline 3 highly effective tactics, and they vary a lot in how prominently the brand is displayed, but they all rely fundamentally on narrative strength and emotional resonance. Let's start with the first one.
Okay, tactic 1. Story first, brand second. This one it's a remarkable demonstration of restraint. The narrative is the absolute focal point. The brand, crucially, it takes on the role of, say, a sponsor or a narrator, not the main focus.
It's often just a logo on the last slide or maybe very subtle placement.
It's like a wealthy patron funding a masterpiece but not demanding their name be carved right in the middle of it.
That's a perfect analogy. It's all about the message carrying the water for the messenger. The goal is for the story to be so universally compelling, so good, so moral, that its goodness just automatically reflects well on the brand that sponsored it.
But wait a second, if they're hiding the brand or keeping the product in the periphery, how do the sources square that with the goal of, increasing sales? Is this just a long-term brand equity play?
That's the high wire act. The sources are pretty clear it's an equity play. They're focusing on brand association, not direct product conversion. And this is where the comparison to the ancient narrative model is maybe the strongest. I mean, think about the historical story. The focus is on a miraculous, selfless act. The messenger is secondary. The Coca-Cola Makes Someone Happy campaign is a perfect example of this.
Right. Tell us a bit about the execution of that one.
So the whole narrative was centered on performing random acts of kindness during the Christmas season. The story was the kindness, the joy, that spirit of giving. And the product, the Coca-Cola itself, was only used in these very strategic, subtle placements.
So you might see a bottle being shared, but it wasn't the point of the scene.
Exactly. It upheld that really strict story first, brand second hierarchy. So the viewer feels good about the message, and that positive feeling then transfers almost seamlessly to the brand that delivered the message.
So it's branding by association with a positive, universal human experience.
Yeah.
They sell the mission, and the brand is just the vehicle.
Precisely. The mission sells the product. And, that focus on restraint leads perfectly into the second major strategy, which is also bold, but in a totally different way.
Tactic 2, the big brand reveal. This feels like it's moving in the complete opposite direction from subtlety.
It is.
This is where the brand is intentionally kept under wraps for the entire ad until this big, sometimes dramatic reveal right at the very end.
Yeah, and this tactic operates on some pretty specific psychological principles. By keeping the brand hidden while running this compelling story, the strategy uses delayed gratification and what the sources call forced cognitive association.
Okay, let's drill down on that. What does forced cognitive association actually mean in practice here?
It means you're increasing the cognitive load on the viewer. So if you tell them immediately, this emotional story is brought to you by brand X, the connection is totally passive.
Right, you've done the work for them.
Exactly. But if you run this, deeply emotional 2-minute story with zero branding, the viewer's brain is working overtime.
Yeah.
It's trying to figure out who is telling the story and why.
And when the reveal finally happens.
That moment, that moment of recognition, it ensures the memory connection between the emotional story and the brand is stronger. It's more deeply cemented.
So the lack of immediate information actually makes the brain more active. You're turning the commercial into a little puzzle.
Yeah.
And that delay, that payoff, makes the association stick.
Exactly. The sources note this is a popular strategy because it is so effective for memory retention. It's kind of the advertising version of delayed gratification.
This one also feels like a high-wire act, though. The risk of hiding the brand seems so high. What if the reveal is disappointing? Or if the consumer just doesn't make that cognitive leap?
That's the inherent risk, for sure. And it's why these campaigns are typically really high concept and have to be flawlessly executed. The story has to be so powerful that the association feels, unavoidable.
It's interesting the sources don't name a specific long-running campaign for this one.
I think that's because this strategy tends to burn very brightly and very quickly. It's often used for just a single year to make a massive cultural splash before the brand moves on. It's a huge gamble.
Okay, so let's contrast that high-risk approach with Tactic 3, which seems to thrive on the complete opposite: consistency and maximum visibility.
Yes, Tactic 3, run a brand feature. This is arguably the most straightforward approach, but it can be incredibly powerful when it's done right.
So here, the brand isn't subtle at all. It's the essential focus.
It's the star. The entire story can be built around the brand, or the brand is used as a visible key element in the story's resolution. And the sources give us two great but very different examples.
Let's start with the first one, the Build Your Lego Christmas campaign.
In the Lego example, the story is about a girl who uses the product Legos to recreate the Christmas star her brother broke. So she's solving a small family crisis.
And unlike the Coke ad, the Lego logo is everywhere. The bricks are central to every single frame.
It's not just visible, it's central to the plot. The product isn't an accessory, it is the instrument of the story's resolution. It's the source of the joy.
Obvious but effective.
Extremely. The viewer sees the product creating joy, enabling creativity, solving a problem. And this technique, it mirrors the ancient story model by making the object the gift, the star, the catalyst for a moment of transcendence.
What's fascinating here is you don't always need subtlety if your product is so intrinsically linked to the positive action of the story itself.
Exactly. And Lego sells that idea of creative construction leading to emotional connection year after year.
And then the second example shows just unbelievable longevity. We're talking about the Hershey's Kisses Christmas Bells campaign.
Oh, an absolute classic.
The source notes it's over 30 years old, and it is still wildly effective. There's no sign of it being canned or even updated much.
Right, and it runs purely on nostalgia and anthropomorphism. The source points out it's Not a story per se. There's no three-act structure.
It's just kisses ringing bells, right?
It is, and it's genius in its simplicity. It's a choir of Hershey Kiss handbells ringing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." And the climax is tiny. The ad ends with one little kiss, kind of exhausted by its own enthusiasm, wiping its brow.
I always love that little detail. Gives the candy this genuine, slightly tired personality.
And that small touch, that light anthropomorphism, is crucial. It's a moment of subtle humor that acts as a perfect cognitive anchor. The campaign works because of the prominent brand feature, that iconic shape, and the cute factor that just sticks in your mind year after year.
So the product is the star, and it evokes this simple, positive, nostalgic feeling.
And that's all it needs to do.
Okay, so if we look across all three tactics, there's a clear spectrum. You have the subtle sponsor using emotional restraint, like Coca-Cola. Then you have the delayed reveal designed to force association.
Tactic 2, the big memory spike.
And then the prominent decades-long success of the brand feature, which relies on visibility and personality, like Lego and Hershey's Kisses.
Correct. And the ultimate takeaway is that all successful story-driven ads, no matter the tactic, work because they evoke genuine human emotion. Whether it's kindness, surprise, or just simple holiday nostalgia, emotion is the engine.
Wait, so when brands like Coke or Lego tap into these universal feelings, are they just marketing, or are they also kind of acting as cultural curators? Are they making sure these feelings stay part of the collective experience?
They're absolutely doing both. By consistently reinforcing themes like kindness and family connection every December, they solidify their role as part of the cultural tapestry.
Which ties directly back to our initial comparison.
Exactly. The reason the ancient narrative endures is its focus on universal themes: hope, destiny, selflessness. If a brand can master those core human concepts, it can achieve a similar kind of enduring success.
So what does this all mean for the listener who wants to quickly understand the mechanics of great holiday marketing?
It means you should watch every holiday ad this year with an analytical eye. Ask yourself, is the brand focused on story first? Are they trying to force an association? Or are they just running a brand feature that relies on nostalgia?
And identifying the tactic tells you what their core goal is.
Right. Are they playing for short-term sales or long-term brand equity? That's the difference between a temporary ad and something truly woven into the human experience.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the power of this story really does transcend the product. It's about sharing a value or a feeling that the consumer genuinely connects with. That's the secret.
That's the secret to longevity, the same secret that sustained that historical narrative for thousands of years. If your story sells your mission and your values, your brand automatically follows.
This was a brilliant deep dive. Thank you for sharing these sources and helping us unpack the tactics of holiday story selling.
And thank you for joining us. We focused a lot on the holiday season, but the source material, it also references further discussions like Storytelling 101, the 4 stories you need to be telling in business marketing.
Okay.
So here's a thought for you to consider. If the Christmas story model is fundamentally about hope and destiny and the value of the seemingly small, what universal human theme beyond just the holidays must be present in your business marketing to ensure that same kind of authentic connection and long-term resonance?
We'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.